go through most of these, but there's one or two more that I want to chat about before we get into the main part of the lesson today. So let's go to the one about free education. Should the government guarantee that everyone has access to a free education? How are we rating? Yeah. Okay, I didn't expect a lot of dissent on that one, but I just thought I'd throw that out there. What about the one at the bottom? The government should make sure that the prices of products are kept low. Is that the government's responsibility? Okay, where do we rate it? Henry?
Well, I support.
Okay.
Like the government should be able, or the government should be able to like limit, like companies from like jacking the prices when necessary. Somebody needs something.
Okay, what Henry's talking about is something called price gouging, and so they aren't allowed to do that, especially if there was a time of crisis and there was something people desperately needed. Companies can't jack up the price to gouge people. No. All right, hands off of that. Okay. Patrick.
I rated it sort of agree because it's like they should regulate it in times where it needs to be regulated and stuff to do this. Like in other times they should keep an eye on it.
So for you, it's not that they should always be hands off or hands on. It's kind of based on the situation.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What about? Did we do the failing business one? Oh. The one the government should never bail out failing businesses? No. Okay. What about the government should provide defense for the people?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone go lower than 5? Okay. Again, that's a number I didn't expect a lot of dissension. However, where people really get opinionated has to do with how much the government steps in our economy over money and jobs and businesses. And that's actually focused today. What we did on Friday was very general stuff. How the government should play into our lives in a very general sense. This is going to be specifically related to money issues. So what I want you guys to do is to take out a piece of paper. We're going to do a little drawing, a little notes today. And of course, you'll need something to write with. Hey guys, keep out that sheet. I'll have you guys pass that in at the end of class, okay? You know, you want to get the light layer up? Thanks. All right. So guys, what I want you to do, how you orient your paper is kind of up to you. But on the top of your paper, what I want you guys to do is to draw a little horseshoe looking thing. Yeah. You know where I'm going with this? Yes, a brownie face, if you will. All right. What we're going to do, guys, is we're going to make it what I would call an economic continuum. All right? And we're going to look at varying degrees of government involvement in the economy. So the main question that we're going to be trying to answer for this thing is how much, say, should the government have in the economy? Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the two extremes. We're going to look at the far ends. Now, most countries in the world today are not at one of the extremes. They're somewhere in the middle. And we're going to start off with the one I think people are going to be a little bit more familiar with here, and that's something called free market capitalism. All right, this is where I need you guys to help me out. Does anybody know what they would like to do when they get out of school, get out of college, what sort of career they'd like to have? What do you want to do, Phoebe? All right, excellent. I'm going to use you as an example. All right, Phoebe gets out of school, graduates college. Yes. Phoebe, it turns out, is a very talented writer, and Corey is going to buy her first book. Corey reads that book, and he decides he loves it. He starts telling all his friends about it. He actually writes an editorial to the newspaper talking about how great Phoebe's book is. Good job, Phoebe. What's going to happen to the sales of Phoebe's books? They're going to go up. And what's going to happen to Phoebe's bank account? It's going to go up. And by word of mouth, story like how good this movie is starts spreading and spreading and spreading. What's Phoebe probably going to do if she's written one really successful book? Ooh, those are two wonderful options. Thank you, Corey. You got money on the mind this morning. So Phoebe actually does both. She turns it into a screenplay, sells it to Hollywood, gets turned into a movie. Opening weekend breaks all sorts of box office records. Phoebe, you are successful right now. To follow up the success of the book and the movie, Phoebe publishes her second book, which sequels are always really tough to make as good as the first book. But somehow she pulls it off. All right. How many of those have you read, Corey?
I thought it was going to happen, you know. I was movie.
All right. Now, Phoebe continues this streak. Now, Phoebe's books are in such high demand that she's having trouble keeping up. And she's going to have to pull in some extra people to kind of help her out. Like, in terms of her scheduling, she has to make all these appearances at bookstores to sign her stuff. She's having trouble keeping up with this, so she hires someone to help her out. Okay? And it turns out that person is so overwhelmed that they actually have to hire someone else to help them out, an assistant to the assistant.
She had to pay for that.
Now, she has to pay both of them, but even though she has to pay those people, they're helping her do something which is actually generating more business for Phoebe. And the more business that Phoebe has, what continues to happen to her bank account? It's going to go up. All right. What we illustrated here is an example of something that can happen in a capitalist country. Phoebe wants to be a writer, so she goes off and she writes, and she's good at it. And as a result of that, what happens to her financially? She's very successful financially. Okay? And because she's successful financially, she actually ends up hiring other people, giving them the means to support themselves. This is a very common thing to happen in a capitalist country. Now, before we get into any little specific notes, let's look at another scenario. Anyone else know what they want to do? Becky, what do you want to do? Okay. Becky, I'm sorry. I got to pick Becky, okay? All right. So Becky gets her degree in archaeology, okay? And Becky is off doing some field research. She's excavating some site in the middle of nowhere. And Becky makes an unfortunate mistake. She's digging into the ground a little bit too fast and ends up destroying a bunch of stuff. I'm sorry, Becky. How is that going to affect Becky's business prospects? Yeah, it's going to kind of hurt her in the long run. So because Becky was a little bit careless with what she was doing, people are not going to be as likely to use her in the future. Where are they going to turn to instead? Someone else. In a sense, Becky's competitors. Now, Becky, this whole idea of competition is really important. Now, Becky has two choices. She sees that she made a mistake, and people are now going to competitors, and they're hiring them to do archaeological digs and paying them, giving them grant money. She has two choices at this point. What did she do? So she can definitely try to improve and do a better job. And if she doesn't do a better job, then what's going to happen to Becky? Yeah, no one's going to hire her. Okay, that's just not going to work out. So she can improve the quality of the work she's doing. She also does have the option of joining other people. But if she doesn't do a good job, people are going to go to their competitors. What that does is that guarantees that there's going to be quality. Because if you're producing a bad quality product or providing a bad service for people, people aren't going to use you. Now, I'm going to stick with Becky. We're going to try and make Becky feel a little bit better. Let's say Becky does an amazing job. All right? Good job, Becky. Yeah. All right. And Becky's business starts booming. She's getting contracts and making deals with like universities and all these scholarly institutions to go through archaeological thing. Archaeological thing. But anyway, let's say for the sake of example, she's doing a great job. And Becky says, my service is so good, I need to raise prices because of the high demand. And overnight, she quadruples the amount of money she's asking. All right, this is where competition is going to come in. If Becky's charging too much, what are people going to start to do? They're going to what? They're going to go someplace where they can get the same type of product or service for a cheaper price. Now, that is a choice. Guys, there are people out there who will charge exceptional amount of money for the same type of service. What is significantly better? There are people out there that will pay much more money if they feel that the service is good, but for your average everyday person who's trying to save a little bit of money, a lot of times they're going to go where they can get a comparable quality at a cheaper price. And this is one of the reasons why some of the big box stores are able to do so well, is they offer low prices on products that are relatively cheap.